You're like a machine underneath, right? But sort of alive that side?
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
Welcome to Cascade Jiu-Jitsu Instructionals. This is the Purple Belt edition because purple belts are people too.
So, we're going to show you in live speed two variations that I do, and then Chris's variation as well. Hey everybody, today we're going to do a choke from Side Control. Our professor Andrew was taught this choke in 2009 at a Renzo Gracie seminar. Chris and I are going to give a couple details that we both like with this choke because we both use it all the time. So when you learn this choke, you're not allowed to do it to us, number one. Number two, you're not allowed to do anything to defend it when you feel that we're doing it to you.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so going over these things, the kind of the details behind this is it's important. First thing is make sure you have your lapel free, and like Professor Andrew was saying, if you have kind of a short gi, you can kind of pull it to one side. Make sure you have plenty of room to play with. You should hold the end of it in your hand here and kind of hide it, so when you're down in side control, it's not obvious what you're doing. So you don't want to stick this in front and try to feed the exactly. So Bill's going to see that coming a mile away. So you're going to hide it, and you're going to get in your side control position. And this really works well when he has his frames in. So he has his frame in front of my neck, and he has his frame by my hips. I need to clear the one by my hips, and there's a bunch of ways to do that. You can kind of bring a knee in and kind of slide it, but the most direct way to do it is kind of turn on your side, grab his tricep, pull it up, and then come back into side control and put that his tricep on your knee so he can't frame and turn into you. Now from here, this is where this one's going to come into play. You're going to shoot it underneath his frame here and grab it with your cross-face hand. So you're going to shoot it in and grab. Now, this is important too because you don't want too much slack here, and you don't want no slack. There's a sweet spot. But you want connection here. So right now I have pretty good connection to his neck already. There's not a lot of slack in it. So from here, this hand is going to come around and block the hip. Then I'm going to pivot on my left knee in this case, and I'm going to try to get my head onto the side of his hip here. And that'll finish the choke. Now, the variation that I've seen Bernardo Faria do, especially if you're having trouble finishing this, is you're in the same position here, and we'll show you from another angle here in a little bit, but as you go down and turn and come up into a tripod, you can reach around with your other hand and grab a hold as well. And kind of get a little pull. A little extra. So those are kind of just the beginning details. And what Bill's going to show you is some variations of this if you're having trouble feeding it or finishing it as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Bill for that.
Okay, we're here. We're in side control. you've done the hardest thing in life, and that's get past the guard. Exactly. Don't like them. So, how do you get this little number out? A lot of times in the beginning, I used to do this all the time, is I would be right here, I'd put that shoulder of justice on him, let him know who's boss, and I would rip it out like a sword, unsheathing my gi. Now, this becomes fairly obvious with people that know this choke, or if people just have done jiu-jitsu for 3 days, they tend to know. So, what I like to do is I block down this here because I want to have a nice good base. I'm going to curl in, I'm going to put my knee into his hip, I'm going to walk back a little bit so I got a lot of weight on his shoulder, right on the joint there. And I'm trying to just curl into him, put a lot of weight into his chest, and at this point I can start to kind of work this. Now he's going to be bumping around, you know, really trying to let me know that he doesn't like it. So I'll kind of pop these around sometimes, make it look like I'm going to go to mount or do like a sneaky mount, something like that. But the whole time, that's not the case. I'm popping and then I'm pulling, getting this out. So then it's loose. I haven't even actually grabbed it yet. I'm just really trying to make him think that I'm not going for this choke and I have other things in mind. So then he focuses on that defense. This is where, just like Chris said, I'm gonna hide it, hide the edge right here. As I come around, I'm scissoring my knees into a perfect side control position if possible. Heavy chest to bring this to here, around the head. I'm in a real stable position. As soon as I've done that, I like to really put my chest towards his face. You do have to be careful and ready for when you do that. If someone is very hip to your moves, they're going to try bridging at this moment, and you're going to be kind of in a tough spot. So you have to be quick with it. You're going to have this ready, and as you come up with your chest, you're bringing the lapel as well, and you make that transfer. This also makes it a little sneakier because people don't see the hand coming. So it's just kind of like a, you know, you just got sloppy side control, and now you're holding it, and they don't really know it because, like Chris said, there's tension, not too much. Block the hip, start to come around, put the head to the ribs, and extend. You're extending right there. That motion is here. Have a strong wrist position, just like a collar choke.
Stop it.
Sorry,
Feel it.
I apologize. I'm going to scoot back here. So, now sometimes what can happen is you have issues getting it over there because they're really framing tight, because they're not allowing you to separate limbs or anything. They're not focusing as much on a frame. They're just playing real tight. And if I tried to get that across now, I'm going to run into a wall. I'm going to try to go over. That's not going to do much. Then you end up looking silly and you lost your one little surprise. So what I like to do is I have gotten this position here, and I just keep it there, and I'll mess around with all this kind of stuff, all that. I'll play Legos on them. So I have this. I'm gonna go to the traditional knee on belly, and I'm gonna pull a little heat into it, right? So I'm gonna get the toes off the mat, and I'm gonna really start to curl up, even lift if I have to. I'm gonna put some pressure on him because I want him to really put a focus on this hand position and try to just be quick with it. And I don't even care if he pushes my knee off. So as he pushes his hand there, that's when I'm punching. Right there. And at the same time, I'm here. His hand comes to the knee. Boom. Just like that. This is where you go for your finish, traditionally. Now, the second part of this is, what if your transfer sucks and just the guy's got a beast of a neck? Look at this guy. You can't finish it because there's something wrong. Maybe your finishing mechanics kind of suck and you just don't know why. You're not finishing it. You're going to come around, grab the lapel, and just kind of like a paper cutter kind of deal, you're going to grab this side of your own gi right here, put your elbow to the mat, and just like a paper cutter, you're going to have this kind of a motion. Once you go down to the mat, you're going to peel, and he's dead. Just like that.
All right, we're going to do yet another detail analysis here. If you're having trouble finishing this same choke, I'm just going to give you one more thing you can try. Bernardo Fario had this in one of his instructionals. I thought it was pretty useful. Please don't pay attention to the shininess here. Really pay attention to what I'm doing.
Disrespectful.
Yeah. So again, and you can get this, you know, Bill had some pretty good ideas about getting the pass off here, but however you get that, again, we definitely want to clear this bottom arm here. Passing it off. Now let's say you don't get the best grip, you didn't do what we said earlier, you didn't get a good connection made here, and you just kind of grabbed it and went with it. So as I tripod up, what you can do, and I'm like still not finishing it here, you can reach over and get a little assist as you move your hips over and pull. So that's just a little additional detail if you were sloppy to begin with, but how about not being sloppy? All right, let's start off with that good connection. But if you're there and you want to try to finish it, that's a little extra thing you can do for it. But again, the main things are making that good connection to start with, and then you don't have to move as far to get the submission.
So, just so you can get another perspective, we'll show you from this angle because there's a little bit of goofiness going on at the hands here, and you want to see those details. So we're in our perfect side control. If I'm going this way, and I block the hip with my knee, the bottom knee, and I'm staying heavy right across almost his clavicle, if you will, and I'm doing a crunch. If I'm sitting here, and even if I got my hip off the mat and I have space here, if you want to really put some pressure into him, do an active crunch. Because right here, if Chris does the ABCs for me, go ahead and do the ABCs for me, Chris.
Okay.
Just,
A, B, C,
you can feel, or you can hear his voice there.
It's amazing.
As soon as I start to really put some effort into it,
Yeah.
go into the ABCs.
A, B, C.
You can start to really see the difference in the pressure I'm putting on his chest area there. That's going to help when he starts bridging, that it's going to be harder for him. And I'm going to slide up a little bit, right to that shoulder. This is where, remember, none of this. It's be easy with it. I personally, when I scissor my knees, I like to try to capture, as Chris talked about, try to capture that shoulder on top of your thigh. You want to get that perfect side control. Showing off my calves for you too. Once you brought this arm around here, sometimes they'll give you an arm lock here, so you can just hoy. keep an eye on that one. But we're going for here. Wrap around. I like to get real deep because it makes the transfer that much easier. You can do the chest up and transfer right there. And then that extension there. Now, we've passed. We're not getting it. You're here, and you're just not feeling like you can capture it for whatever reason. You got to put a little extra spice into it. I lift and I pass. Right there. If you can have a little bit of tail, it's perfect.
A little tail's always good.
Little tail's always good. Keep Chris out of Vietnam. and I have now transferred there. You're not gonna bring your hand out here and wave to Olivia. I love you, Pookie. But you're gonna be tight with it. You're gonna be a little mean about it. And you're gonna grab here. Put the elbow to the mat. You can probably finish here where you put the elbow to the mat, and then you're gonna start pulling your right arm. But we're gonna put a little bit more heat into it, and we're gonna put it to the mat, and then we're gonna peel as we pull. And the motion is here. Is here. Is here. Effectively murdering a doctor.
Purple belts are people too.
Great Scott!